What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, we are rejoined in the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise ahead of a key matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we're not actually going to be doing any gameplay in today's video, but we are going to be visiting our standings, seeing where we stand in terms of everything, and taking a look at our season stats up through Week 12 of the NFL season. So you guys will see here on the main page that we are currently sitting at 10-1, with our only loss being to the Bengals early on in the season. We sit with the Ravens sitting at 7-4 and Browns 7-5, pretty close behind us, but not really competing all that well with us. We do have the number one seed in the AFC and the top record in the entire NFL. We are matched by teams like the Patriots, which are an interesting team to be up here, as well as the Chiefs, and then a handful of teams that are competing at this point in the season, like the Bills, the Raiders, the Ravens, the Browns, and then you have a couple of names like the Texans and the Broncos, who are, a little bit of a surprise to be where they are. So interesting kind of standings going on within the AFC and the NFL in general. So that's where we stand in terms of our record and in terms of our division. We do have 2 games against Baltimore left to play. We've gotten both of our Bengals games out of the way. We have 1 game against the Browns left to play as well. So you guys can see that our remaining schedule is as follows. It is the Ravens, the Vikings, the Titans, the Chiefs, the Browns, and the Ravens again. So the Ravens is going to be a tough matchup both times around. The Chiefs will be a tough matchup. The Browns can always put up a fight and give us a tough matchup. So that end stretch, that last 3 or 4 games, including the Titans, who I think aren't doing as great as many would have thought on the season. The Vikings do have the potential to give us a fight as well, but I think that we should finish out the season at least as AFC North champions, and we'll see how things go from there, but we'll be bringing you guys some gameplay as we go through there. Here's a quick look at the playoff picture so you can see exactly how things are playing out right now. We've already pretty much gone through the AFC side of things. On the NFC side of things, there are a lot of familiar teams here: the Buccaneers, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Saints, the Cardinals, who a lot of people expect to be really good this year, and the Panthers, who have Christian McCaffrey, so they always have a shot there. A couple of maybe surprising teams, or teams that are bursting onto the scene, would be the Eagles, for example, and they pose a threat over there on the NFC side. So things are playing out very interesting on both sides of the NFL right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at some stats. So the first thing that I want to point your attention to is that we have had multiple weekly award winners throughout the season so far. So Cameron Sutton won AFC Defensive Player of the Week in Week 1. We went on a little bit of a stretch there without another award, but Big Ben Roethlisberger came up with AFC Offensive Player of the Week in Week 5 as well as Week 6. So back-to-back weeks he had top-tier performances and got an AFC Offensive Player of the Week award. And then once again in Week 10, he earned that award with 4 passing touchdowns and 325 yards in our Week 10 game. So very, very good performances, and really nice to see that the veteran quarterback, who's not rated all that highly, is performing really well. He's got so many weapons around him. Our offensive line has had their struggles this season, but they've been able to keep it together enough to the point that we've had success on both ground game and air game. So, doing some things very well on both sides of the ball as well, and we'll get into the stats there in a moment. While we have been performing very well on the season, we do not currently have a player in the running for the MVP award. That currently stands with players like Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott up there at the top. Coach of the Year award, I do believe we are in the running for that, at least at 10-1. But no surprise, teams like the Patriots up there, Panthers up there, Texans, considering their situation, being up there. Some interesting names up there at the top for Coach of the Year. And then really where our team shines is with the rookie players. We do have Najee Harris sitting second in the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year race, as well as Pat Freiermuth in 6th place. We don't have anybody on Defensive Rookie of the Year, but we do have Ben Roethlisberger sitting at second for best quarterback and Najee Harris sitting at fourth for best running back. So we do have a couple of potential award winners. We also have Chase Claypool competing for top wide receiver, and then we have Cam Hayward competing for best defensive lineman. So we're getting top tier performances out of a lot of players, just not necessarily yet being recognized for a potential MVP award or something of that magnitude. Now, as we dive into these stats, you guys will get a good idea for why some of these players are in contention for the awards that they're in contention for. So Ben Roethlisberger has 2,700 yards on the season, 26 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. 65% completion rating. He's only been sacked 9 times, which is a great testament to how we've been quickly getting the ball out of his hands. Now, this yardage total is actually pretty low for the NFL, all things considered. I've addressed this in a couple of other videos, but he's really sitting middle of the pack, like 16th or 17th overall in terms of his yardage, which is probably why he's not getting recognized as much as, we might think he should be. However, he is top 5 in passing touchdowns, and he has the lowest interception total of most of the top tier quarterbacks here in the league. So Ben Roethlisberger is having an elite season. I think that if we just got his yardage up a bit, we might see a boost in his, potential MVP race. I'm not looking to shoot to get him an MVP or anything like that. I'm more concerned about the team as a whole, but something that is definitely worth noting there. On the ground, Najee Harris is, I believe, 4th in the league in terms of rushing yard, 5th in the league in terms of rushing yards at 1,003 yards. Now, the thing to note here is that his average yards per carry is a little bit low for my liking. That's primarily due to the fact that the offensive line just isn't as good as it could be. That will be a main focus for us going forward with the franchise. Something that should be a main focus for them in real life is bringing in good linemen to help bolster what they have going on. Kalen Ballage, though, also doing very well on the ground in his repetitions. We've been trying to get him the ball more and more, so you guys can see the 5 touchdowns by him added on top of the 7 rushing touchdowns by Najee Harris. Harris has been doing a great job, and so has Ballage, honestly, of breaking tackles. A lot of broken tackles for quite a bit of yardage after contact. So some really nice stats on the ground here for our running game. Out of our receiving game, I don't think that there's too many surprises here in the fact that we have been targeting Pat Freiermuth and Chase Claypool a lot. Chase Claypool and Freiermuth, both big-bodied targets, the type of guys that Ben Roethlisberger has been looking for a long time, and we're trying to develop these guys to be as best as they can, so we're feeding them the ball. We also have to get the ball out of our hand quickly, which means a lot of combat catches. And when you're trying to do combat catches, you want to throw it up to your best, biggest and best wide receivers, the guys that have the chance to have that reach advantage. And so Freiermuth has been very key on that, so has Chase Claypool. That's not to mention the fact that Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster have both had very good seasons in terms of their receiving totals. We haven't been moving the ball through the air quite as much as we could because of the offensive line situation. So, these aren't bad numbers for them. I would expect to see these go up in the future as we improve our offensive line. Najee Harris has added quite a bit in terms of the receiving game with 353 yards. Maybe a little bit too much for him, but we are trying to utilize him as a dual threat running back, and that has helped us quite a bit. And then there's some, minor contributions from guys like Zach Gentry, who I think can be very good for us, Jalen Samuels, Kalen Ballage, and then a couple of other guys like Benny Snell and Ray McLeod. From a blocking perspective, though, this is, one of the highlights of the team is that we've done pretty well with getting the ball out of our hand quickly, which hasn't allowed for a lot of opportunities for these linemen to give up sacks or anything like that. Only 2 given up by Zach Banner and Chukwuma Okorafor, who are our starting tackles, 2 for our backup center, J.C. Hassenauer, which is pretty rough considering how much he's actually been into the games. Backup right tackle has given up 1, and our backup left tackle has given up 1. However, our starting right guard, Trey Turner, has not allowed a sack in all of his snaps, and our starting left guard and starting center have not allowed any sacks in their snaps. So our interior offensive line is pretty beefed up and ready to go for the future. We just need to address the tackle position as we move forward. Defensively, we don't have anybody that jumps out in terms of tackles. You know, a lot of teams at this point have a guy with like 100+ tackles on the season. That just doesn't really happen in this game with the way that the game actually plays, the way Madden plays. So unfortunately, we don't have anybody that's super high in terms of their number of tackles, but Devin Bush and Terrell Edmunds up there at the top. Tackle for loss, we do have quite a few tackles for loss from a lot of guys. Our defensive line has been stellar this year, but you also saw Devin Bush had 6. Quarterback sacks, though, this is where Cameron Hayward is coming in big time with his 8 sacks on the season. 7.5 sacks from Melvin Ingram III, 4.5 from Stephon Tuitt, and then only a handful from the other guys. You know, basically, I think TJ Watt is the biggest disappointment here, but again, this is a Madden thing. You know, elite pass rushers sometimes, if you're not specifically using them, have a tough time getting to the quarterback, and even if you are utilizing them, a lot of times the quarterback just gets the ball out of their hand as you hit them. Interception-wise, though, we have 3 from Minkah Fitzpatrick, 3 from Cam Sutton, 2 from Carl Joseph, and 2 from Joe Hayden, as well as 1 from Stephon Tuitt, which you guys probably saw earlier on in one of the earlier videos, and 1 from Justin Lane. So good contributions in terms of basically coming up with turnovers here. We do have quite a few forced fumbles. Terrell Edmunds, this is where he has absolutely excelled as a player. He's one of the best players on this defense. You guys saw he led in tackles. I think he leads in solo tackles. He also leads over here in forced fumbles with 4 forced fumbles, which has created a ton of opportunities for us. It's created a bunch of defensive touchdowns for us. You know, some of these fumble recoveries have gone back for touchdowns, and that's absolutely huge. So Terrell Edmunds has been massive for us so far on the season. He does also add a touchdown, taking back one of those fumble recoveries for like 70 yards. So a lot of really nice things happening here on the defensive side of the ball. We do still have to address our cornerback position, but things are looking really bright there for a lot of the key pieces that we have. Next up is our kicker, Chris Boswell, 13 of 15 on the year, 43 out of 44 extra points. He's been really good for the most part. There was one game where I think he missed both of those field goals, and that was a struggle. But, you know, not too much else to add there. I think we'll be hanging on to him for the future. Punter Presley Harvin III has been absolutely stellar for us. Now, his average yards per punt this year hasn't been that great, but he has done very, very well for us, getting some coffin corner punts when we need them, getting some clutch punts when we need him. He never fails to impress me, and you know, he's made a lot of very good plays on that end of things. Not much to add in terms of our kick return or punt return game, and so that's where we stand in terms of our actual statistics, in terms of our standings within the league, and how things are looking at this point in the season. If you guys are excited to watch more of this franchise as we move forward, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, make sure you guys leave a like on the video and comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next one with some more gameplay, and hopefully you guys enjoy. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.